Hi there, and welcome to Amman, a metro area with a population of a bit over 2 million people, and the capital of the Kingdom of Jordan. It probably won't surprise some of you, but I'm in Jordan specifically for this flight. Briefly, in December of 2022, Emirates was added as a redemption partner on the Air Canada Aeroplan. At the time, it was announced that Emirates would have its own award chart with much higher prices within the Aeroplan system, but that wouldn't start until January. So until then, the standard award chart applied, which made these flights, relatively speaking, a steal. I needed to get to Saigon, which is always a 777 flight, so I was looking for a regional flight on an A380 to incorporate into the same itinerary, and Amman seemed to be the best bang for the buck. So here I am at Queen Alia International Airport to the southeast of the city center. Before we head inside, let me introduce myself to those of you that are new here. My name is Kevin, and I am the Flip Flop Traveler. I'm here to give you honest content about flights, hotels, trains, and cruises. I paid for this trip out of pocket, and as always, the price that I paid is in the description below. Emirates had no prior knowledge that I'd be filming today, and I wasn't compensated by them for doing so. Everything in this video is my personal opinion, based on my own unique experience. The rest, I'll let speak for itself. Let's get started. I arrived a little over 3 hours prior to my departure, but I'd say in most circumstances, 2 to 2.5 hours would be just fine. Check-in was quick and simple, though there were queues forming at all of the lines even before the counters opened. While this surely isn't the most feature-filled airport on Earth, I really do like it for 2 reasons. The first of which is the simple layout. There's a central shopping and dining area, and then 2 wings on opposite sides of the central hall where you can access the gates, half on each side. The airport began operation in 1983, but was completely rebuilt and expanded, with their current airport opening in 2013. And the other thing I love about it are the massive windows. Huge floor-to-ceiling windows like these, especially with unobstructed views of the apron and the gate areas, really are my favorite feature of any airport out there. As we have a look around and head to the Petra Lounge, which was included with my fare, let's talk a bit about Emirates, and in today's video, more specifically about their relationship, nay, obsession, with the Airbus A380. Emirates currently have 249 aircraft in their fleet, all wide-body and all either A380 or 777s. 116 of them are A380s, which they began taking delivery of in 2008. To say that Emirates was bullish on the A380 would be like saying a basketball is round, or the sky is blue, or my humor is dry. There's nothing that could be truer. Emirates placed 5 separate orders for the A380. Here's the thing though, all 5 of those orders were before receiving their first bird. They ordered 23 of June of 2003, 21 in November of 2003, 4 in May of 2007, 8 in June of 2007, 9 in November of 2007. They certainly had Airbus eating out of the palm of their hands by that point. Heading to the end of the concourse now to catch our aircraft coming in. Their 6th order in 2010 brought them up to 90 frames on order, and they added another 50 to the pile in 2013. Clearly, Emirates had big plans for the A380s, and the world was watching. Fact of the matter is, many of the airports around the world that retrofitted their terminals to accommodate the A380s did it specifically to attract Emirates' whale. And there is our 12-year-old whale bird coming in now. There are 6 different configurations in their fleet of the A380, ranging from 484 passengers all the way up to 615, making it the highest capacity commercial aircraft active today. But for a bit of perspective, Singapore Airlines has operated the A380 with as few as 379 seats in the past. Emirates is here to pack them in, and keep them clean, and boozed up, of course, with the first ever showers installed in first class, as well as the onboard bar. In February 2019, with 102 frames on hand, Emirates reevaluated its fleet and cancelled all except 14 of the remaining A380s on order. For quite a few years, Emirates had been pushing hard for a revamped version of the A380 to be launched before 2020, saying that they would order up to 200 of them. But Airbus simply wasn't interested and stopped production of the A380 in 2021. The lack of a future A380 is what turned Emirates' fleet planning upside down. Emirates took 49% of all 251 A380s ever delivered, and currently they operate 61% of the 190 still in service. Emirates has also mentioned that they plan to operate them well into the 2040s. Currently, Emirates flies to around 140 international destinations, making Dubai International Airport the busiest on Earth for international traffic. This year, Emirates will resume service to Phnom Penh and Adelaide and begin service to Bogota. Our gate was fairly organized, and boarding was called for a collective priority passenger group first, right on time. As we head to the aircraft, let's take a look at today's flight stats. I could be wrong, but I suppose Amman doesn't have any true A380 gates, as we boarded via two main deck level jet bridges. Business and first class went up the forward stairs. I was warmly greeted at the door, and crew at the bottom and top of the stairs offered to help me, and anyone else, with their carry-ons, which felt like a very nice and well-rehearsed touch for these type of destinations. This flight was in October, and you can imagine, given the reduced travel to the region, an A380 wasn't exactly necessary for this short hop this evening, with the business class cabin being around half full. Let's take a closer look at the aircraft. Laid out in one massive cabin in a 1-to-1 configuration, this really is an equality for all kind of cabin layout. I really don't think that there are any bad choices on board. When selecting seats, I would just keep three things in mind. First of all, the window seats have added storage compartments under the windows. Second, if you're a fan of the bar, stay in the back, and if you're worried about the noise, stay in the front. Lastly, these are giant aircraft. A flight with 615 passengers can easily overwhelm the passport control queues in smaller airports, so keep that in mind when selecting your seat. The upper deck and lower deck will deplane simultaneously in most cases, so being towards the front of the aircraft simply means spending less time at immigration. To my knowledge, Emirates has 3 versions of this staggered 1-to-1 business class on their A380s, and this was, not surprisingly for a regional route, their oldest version. For the most part, the seats have the exact same bones as the newer versions, except for one very annoying detail, which I'll take a look at a moment. If you're able to snag the bulkhead row 7, there really is an endless amount of personal space, between the ledge meant to be for a bassinet, as well as the compartments along the window. The seat itself is a heavily modified version of the same seat that you'll see on many other airlines in the same configuration. But most of these modifications do make it feel a bit more closed in than others. The armrest is in an odd spot. The TVs are quite close to you, making the area feel smaller, and most of your counter space is taken up by the onboard drink holder and the brick of a tablet, which weighed nearly as much as my carry-on. It's just all a bit clunky. Newer versions of this seat, from what I've seen, are slightly better designed. The thing that I hated about this seat, though, was this thing. Whatever this thing is in front of my feet. At first, I didn't realize it, but that's a footrest which can be angled via a button, and if you're a child, I'm sure it's in the perfect position. For me, it meant that I could never actually extend my legs unless I put them straight out. On a shorter flight, it's fine, but if I got this configuration on a long flight, it would really spoil the seat for me. And I do also need to ask, what is the point? I hope that there's a ton of electrical equipment and wiring or something under there, and they put this footrest there as a way to justify it. If it was the other way around, and it all exists simply for this footrest, that's a ridiculous design. Very soon after arriving at my seat, I was greeted by my flight attendant by name, welcomed on board, and offered a glass of Moet, followed by a cold towel. Here's your friendly reminder to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with friends and family. Those are truly the easiest ways, all free for you, to help support the channel. If you'd like to support me further, my Patreon is also linked in the description below. Thanks very much in advance. Thankfully, these big birds do have overhead vents, and it seems Emirates has been propping up the burled walnut veneer industry for quite some time. The window blinds are controlled via push button. I know many people love these and they're meant to be premium, but I really don't like them, particularly on long flights. Let's say it's a natural sleeping time for the cabin, but it's daylight outside. All of the window shades are closed. I like to peek outside every once in a while. With a regular window shade, I can quickly do just that. With these electronic dual blinds, I'll have brought full daylight into the cabin before I'm actually able to see what's outside. Okay, time for what felt like the most precise and longest pushback that I've ever been a part of. A full 6 minutes of careful navigation of not really that far of a distance.
Take a moment to locate the emergency exit nearest to your seat, which may be behind you. There are 10 emergency exits on the main deck of this Emirates A380. There are 6 emergency exits on the upper deck. If needed, lights at floor level will direct you to the nearest exit. Please remove high-heeled shoes and leave all baggage behind if evacuating. The safety card in your seat pocket.
Meanwhile, the safety video began to roll. Our gate was very close to the runway, so it was a quick taxi before we lined up for takeoff. The electrifying spool up, takeoff, and airport stats are coming up next. kinda wish there was a channel on board that would pump in artificial spool-up noise. A380s are just insanely quiet. After takeoff, as the sun began to set, I had a look at my entertainment system and my cinderblock tablet. Via the tablet, you can control just about anything that you would need to, from the TV to the seat to the lighting or the window blinds. Plus it has every bit of info that you would ever need. Then there's the entertainment itself. Emirates easily has the most extensive system out there, with thousands upon thousands of titles available in what I would imagine is every language of every region they fly to. It really is impressive and overwhelming. If you have a long flight and a bit of spare time before your flight, check out the offerings at home on their website, and maybe select a few so you're not scrolling for 3 hours on board. If you head down to the description, you'll find my next 5 videos to come out, as well as a link to many of my other business class trip reports. On your way down there, don't forget to subscribe. I release full-length videos every Thursday and Saturday. At the rear of the cabin, you'll find the onboard bar, or lounge as Emirates refers to it. The lounge has its own menu, which you'll find along with the regular menu for their light bites. This was filmed at the end of the flight. Surprisingly, to me at least, the bar was absolutely packed from the moment it was open for the first half of the flight. Before the meal service starts, let's take a look at the comforts on board. Honestly, for the most part, they're just okay. The headphones are decent, decked out in wood trim, because, of course. The pillow and blanket are a good size, but both feel just a bit past their prime, especially that blanket. It's always been such a strange dichotomy to me, because there are some parts of Emirates which obviously are bling to the extreme, but then mixed with some of the most drab and dowdy details imaginable. Anyway, let's get ready for dinner. I started out with a French red, which got the job done quite nicely. Here's the full menu, drink list, and wine list. Note that the red prices on the wine list are my addition to the graphic. Just to give you an idea of the wine value on board. No, you do not need to pay for it on board. Considering they had an entire page devoted to makbous, I certainly needed to order the prawn makbous. To start out, we had hummus and muhammara, along with a wide variety of breads to choose from, including what is, by far, the best solution for garlic bread in the sky. That cinnamon bun looking thing is actually incredible garlic bread. This format is genius. For the main dish, this certainly supports my theory of always go for the local rice dish, especially on Middle Eastern carriers. It was superb. For dessert, the menu mentions a saffron and date profiterole, but I'm almost positive that that's not actually what I had. I remember some sort of coffee cake crumble tart of sorts. Either way, it was delicious. Along with that was a small cheese plate. A quick check of the bathrooms after dinner found, surprise surprise, more wood paneling. The facilities were kept sparkling clean throughout the flight, and were stocked with the same fragrances that you'd find in their first-class bathrooms. As we take a look at the seat in full flat mode, which frankly isn't fully flat, the back portion doesn't go all the way down, let me talk about the service on board. This might come off sounding like a passive-aggressive jab, but I assure you it's not. This was likely the best, non-personalized service that I've ever had on a business class flight. What does that mean? Well, besides being greeted by name with my first glass of champagne, it was very much a working relationship between the crew and the passengers. It didn't seem like a crew that were keen on long chats and things like that, and there was a slight mechanical element to the meal service. But given that, for a short regional flight, it was overall some of the most cordial, efficient, and organized service that I've seen, and you could tell they really were working as a team. Emirates has also recently introduced small tablets for crew to take food orders on, which honestly it blows my mind that most airlines don't do this already. Order taking is fast, to the point, and there's no, "Oh, let me go check," since they have the live number of remaining dishes in their hand. Great stuff. Also great were the clear views we had of Sharjah to the east of Dubai as we were in our final descent. Enjoy the landing. Airport stats are coming up. So, my first ever business class experience on Emirates. Overall, I would do it again in a heartbeat, but honestly, I only say that because I know these older versions of the A380s are only on a portion of the fleet. And as for the 777s, well, that's a completely different story, which you'll hear about all in my next trip report. I deplaned and entered Dubai. For business class passengers, Emirates does offer a free hotel stopover program, but it's only if you purchase the most efficient itinerary with a long stopover. In order to get on the A380 flight from Amman, my routing was not the most efficient, so I was ineligible. And that is that. I really do hope that you enjoyed this trip report today. If you did, please be sure to click that like button and subscribe to 2 new videos each week. I'll see you next time for my very unfortunate experience on board a Lufthansa 747, where safety was certainly not the #1 priority. You definitely don't want to miss this one.